Hey, let's do our daily Bible reading. Sorry I'm a little later than normal, and but it's been a busy day. But I'm here now. Let's get through this. It's really just still going over the tabernacle details and the building and all that it took that went into it. There it has its importance, so we're gonna read through it. Everything about it is makes it unique and special, and the order and how God wanted them to place things has significance and importance to it. We won't go into detail and we won't get into all of it. We're just mainly going to talk about how it was built and how it looks. And if you're able to imagine it, do your best to imagine how it looks. Unfortunately, I can. I try to the best of my ability, but it honestly sounds like it looks awesome from from what we read. So, building the ark, we're in Exodus 37, verse 1. So, if you want to follow along with us or with me as I read, feel free, pause the video, and then pick right back up. So, this is believed to be 1446, 1280, or 1280 BC before Christ. All right, so building the ark. Then Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. 2.5 cubits was its length, a cubit and a half its width, and a cubit and a half its height. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a molding of gold all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set in its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side of it. He made poles of acacia on one he made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, and he put the poles into the rings at the sides of the ark to bear the ark. He also made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2.5 cubits was its length, and a cubit and a half its width. He made 2 cherubim of beaten gold. He made them of one piece at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub at one end on this side, and the other cherub at the other end on that side. He made the cherubim at the 2 ends of one piece with the mercy seat. The cherubim spread out their wings above and covered the mercy seat with their wings. They faced one another. The faces of the cherubim were toward the mercy seat. So now building the table, verse 10 of Exodus 37. He made the table of acacia wood. 2 cubits was its length, and a cubit its width, and a cubit and a half its height. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made a molding of gold all around it. Also he made a frame of a handbreadth all around it, and made a molding of gold for the frame all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings on the 4 corners that were at its 4 legs. The rings were close to the frame as holders for the poles to bear the table. And he made the poles of acacia wood to bear the table, and overlaid them with gold. He made of pure gold the utensils which were on the table, its dishes, its cups, its bowls, and the pitchers for pouring. 1 second, making sure. Today is okay. Dog over there resting. Exodus, poor buddy's been through it today too. It's been a busy day for him and for me. But Exodus 37:17. He also made the lampstand of pure gold. Of hammered work he made the lampstand. Its shaft, its branches, its bowls, its ornamental knobs, and its flowers were of the same piece. And 6 branches came out of its sides. Three branches of the lampstand out of one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of the other side. There were 3 bowls made like almond blossoms on one branch with an ornamental knob and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almond blossoms on the other branch with an ornamental knob and a flower. And so for the 6 branches coming out of the lampstand, and on the lampstand itself were 4 bowls made like almond blossoms, each with its ornamental knob and flower. There was a knob under the first 2 branches of the same, a knob under the second 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the third 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches extending from it. Their knobs and their branches were of one piece. All of it was one hammered piece of pure gold, and he made its 7 lamps, its wick trimmers, and its trays of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold he made it with all its utensils. Now building the incense altar, Exodus 37, verse 25. He made the incense altar of acacia wood. Its length was a cubit, and its width a cubit. It was square, and 2 cubits was its height. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides, all around, and its horns. He also made for it a molding of gold around it, all around it. He made 2 rings of gold for it under its molding, by its 2 corners on both sides, as holders for the poles with which to bear it. And he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He also made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the perfumer. Now, starting in Exodus 38, building the altar of burnt offering. He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its width. It was square, and its height was 3 cubits. He made its horns on its 4 corners. The horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. He made all the utensils for the altar, the pans, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. All its utensils he made of bronze, and he made a grate of bronze network for the altar under its rim, midway from the bottom. He cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the bronze grating as holders for the poles, and he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. Then he put the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to bear it. He made the altar hollow with boards. All right, so building the laver. Exodus 38:8, he made the laver of bronze and its base of bronze from the bronze mirrors of the serving women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Now building the court. Exodus 38, verse 9. Then he made the court on the south side. The hangings of the court were of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long. There were 20 pillars for them with 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. On the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits long with 20 pillars and their 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. And on the west side, there were hangings of 50 cubits with 10 pillars and their 10 sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. For the east side, the hangings were 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate were 15 cubits long with their 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. And the same for the other side of the court gate on this side, and that were hangings of 15 cubits with their 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. All the hangings of the court all around were of fine woven linen. The sockets for the pillars were bronze, the hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver, and the overlay of their capitals was silver, and all the pillars of the court had bands of silver. The screen for the gate of the court was woven of blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen. The length was 20 cubits, and the height along its width was 5 cubits, corresponding to the hangings of the court. And there were 4 pillars with their 4 sockets of bronze. Their hooks were silver, and the overlay of their capitals and their bands was silver. All the pegs of the tabernacle and of the court all around were bronze. So now Exodus 38, verse 21, the inventory of their materials. All right, let's do it. This is the inventory of the tabernacle of the testimony, which was counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord had commanded Moses, and with him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, a weaver of blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine linen. All the gold that was used in all the work of the holy place, that is, the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah for each man, that is, half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone included in the numbering from 20 years old and above, for 603,550 men. And from the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the bases of the veil, 100 sockets from the 100 talents, 1 talent for each socket. Then from 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made bands for them. The offering of bronze was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels, and with it he made the sockets for the door of the tabernacle of meeting, the bronze altar, the bronze grating for it, and all the utensils for the altar, the sockets for the court all around, the bases for the court gate, all the pegs for the tabernacle, and all the pegs for the court all around. So if you're into accounting, if you're big into money and all, you could kind of put this together as like how much was used and like how much the total value of the tabernacle was. All right, so Exodus 39, and we will stop somewhere in the middle of 39 and pick back up tomorrow. So clothing for the priest, of the blue, purple, and scarlet thread, they made garments of ministry for ministering in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now, verse 2, making the ephod, I think it's ephod. He made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread and fine woven linen, and they beat the gold into thin sheets and cut it into threads to work it in with the blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and the fine linen into artistic designs. They made shoulder straps for it to couple it together. It was coupled together at its two edges, and the intricately woven band of his ephod that was on it was of the same workmanship, woven of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and a fine woven linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And they set onyx stone enclosed in settings of gold. They were engraved, and as signets are engraved with the names of the sons of Israel, he put them on the shoulders of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Making the breastplate, starting in verse 8 of Exodus 39. And he made the breastplate artistically woven like the workmanship of the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and a fine woven linen. They made the breastplate square by doubling it. A span was its length, and a span its width, when doubled. And they set it in 4 rows of stones, a row with a sardius, a topaz, and an emerald was the first row. The second row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row, a jacinth, and a agate, and an amethyst. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in settings of gold in their mountings. There were 12 stones according to the names of the sons of Israel, according to their names engraved like a signet, each one with its own name according to the 12 tribes. And they made chains for the breastplates at the ends like braided cords of pure gold. They also made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 braided chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. The 2 ends of the 2 braided chains they fastened in the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder straps of the ephod in the front. And they put, You okay, buddy? And they made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on the edge of it, which was on the inward side of the ephod. They made 2 other gold rings and put them on the shoulder straps underneath the ephod toward its front, right at the seam above the intricately woven band of the ephod. And they bound the breastplate by means of its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord, so that it would be above the intricately woven band of the ephod, and that the breastplate would not come loose from the ephod, as the Lord had commanded Moses. All right, and to conclude today's reading, additional clothing for the priest. He made the robe of the ephod of woven work all of blue, and there was an opening in the middle of the robe like the opening in a coat of mail, with a woven binding all around the opening, so that it would not tear. They made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue, purple, and blue, purple, and scarlet, and of fine woven linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates on the hem of the robe all around between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord had commanded Moses. They made tunics artistically woven of fine linen for Aaron and his sons, a turban of fine linen, exquisite hats of fine linen, short trousers of fine woven linen, and a sash of fine woven linen with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, made by a weaver as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote on it and wrote on it an inscription like the engraving of a signet, "Holiness to the Lord." And they tied to it a blue cord to fasten it above on the turban as the Lord had commanded Moses. And that stops us with tomorrow's reading on Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to anybody who's in a happy relationship. Hope y'all have a great day, you and your significant other. Remember, it's not just on Valentine's Day to show love to your significant other and show them you care. But yeah, it's a good day to remember and be reminded of how much people mean to us. But yes, that concludes today's reading. I hope you got something out of this. It's good to see how much went into it and how much details and all God put into this and wanted to be put into this, and how much he cared for its significance, like the colors and just how everything had to be made a certain way, how particular God is. You will see that he's a very particular God, and he's the same way with us. If he cares that much about a tabernacle, imagine how much he thought about putting you together and sees you as a work of art, just like he saw this. But thank y'all if you've listened this far. Remember, if you haven't, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to be notified anytime, get a notification anytime I'm doing this or any other short, or which are the devotionals that I do, the little short inspirational that hopefully encourages y'all and helps you. It's inspirational and gives you hope and all. But if you want to be notified of any of that, make sure to click on the bell and turn it to all, or you can have it personalized. But anyway, thank you for liking this far. If you've already subscribed, liking and sharing goes a long way, and even commenting, even if you just want to say something as simple as amen. But God bless y'all. Hope y'all have a great rest of your night, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Happy Friday tomorrow. Thank God it's Friday, right? But yes, y'all take care. Love you, fam.